guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Shenanigan, and today we're gonna go ahead and talk about the final chapter of Act 6.4, the Grandmaster chapter. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this was possibly the best and the most fun chapter. It is not as difficult as the previous ones, uh, and Grandmaster Boss was a lot of fun as well. The fight rather. So let's go ahead and quickly go through the parts in the best champions. The first part I did initially when I did my 6.4 run was this part, masochism and overreach. So this is not a bad path. I made a mistake of thinking that I'm going to go ahead and reverse the region of masochism. So I took Captain America Infinity War and added a tech champ, cosmic champ, and a science champ in the team, so I could get enough debuffs in and reverse the region. Together with that, I took skill Spidey, so I could go and take the Grandmaster. Um, that was possibly a bad idea because that would actually entail a lot of parries I had to do, and there was a lot of block damage I was taking throughout the path. And this is actually not a bad path if what you're actually doing is doing some intercepting with a champ that doesn't actually do a lot of debuffs and just baiting the specials. This path is really easy if you keep doing that. You do possibly need someone to counter this Mysterio, maybe someone who does an armor break, and this Punisher 2099. This There's a lot of block damage that you take because of him. So these are the two champions that you need to worry about. There's no issue with this particular um, Warlock either. He does have this spreading infection that's a synergy with Cable, so he gets faster infections. And if you have a champ who does a lot of healing, then you're going to lose a lot of power. So this is a chap. The first part I did, it was not really good the way I did it. But as long as you're just going ahead and doing the raids, any champion is gonna work. You just need someone from the boss, Grandmaster, and basically any uh, champion can do the Grandmaster fight. And I'm gonna go ahead and come to specifically Grandmaster soon. So let's go ahead and check out the rest of the paths real quick. The second path I did was this one. This is mesmerized path. Readable determination, pilfer, and nothing else. This whole path, like some of the other paths I have done, was with Domino Trinity. This parry and heavy, and that's it. Domino takes bleed damage on the first heavy hit, but not the second one. And every other champ is nothing. This clairvoyant wasn't bad either. This parry and heavy, and that's it. However, here, I think there's no power gain on this path. Uh, the token of composition, chance to gain additional token, can't gain power from any source. So it was really difficult to get token of competence on, uh, doing damage over time or knocking down the Grandmaster because of this. I didn't actually see it before I took Domino, so I didn't take any such champ. But I believe that you need, if you're taking a Domino Trinity here, you need someone who does a normal damage over time to the collector on the basic attacks, and someone who can you can go ahead and use to knock down the collector. Basically, Doom would be one of the best champions that you can take from this path, other than the Domino Trinity. But even without Domino, this path doesn't have a lot. There's a 7% chance to evade the attack, and that's usually not the case because I've seen a lot of evade happening. You probably need someone who does True Strike uh, on this path, but that's actually about it. You can probably take Emma Frost here. I think she'll be the one of the best champs here because of her ability, but there was nothing too special. The third part I did was the buff duration part. This part has all cosmics, I believe. Yep, all cosmics. So all you need is someone who does a lot of uh, damage on buff removals. And Symbiote Supreme and Morningstar are going to be the best on this particular path. I used Doom here. Doom was also great. It does have buff duration. Debuffs are removed, and they have chance to get Fury as well. So the nullification is gonna work really good on this part. And if you possibly have Doom, and you can take Diablo or an Alice with Doom, you would, and of course the Doom is like high seg, then you will always be able to continue this heavy chain because you're always going to be able to go out and nullify one or the other buff. Um, Other than that, Morningstar, you may have to drag through the first few fights, and once you have done that, you can just go ahead and continue with that SP2 of Morningstar. That's going to work great. You may want Doom or probably Symbiote Supreme for this path, but basically get a Mystic Nullifier, uh, get that Mystic Dispersion on, and this path is going to be a piece of cake. Uh, there's nothing with this Angela either. All right. So after that, the third and now the fourth spot I did was this path here. This one has life cycle and rage, uh, and you have safeguard. Most of the people started with this path because of the health these champs have. You are going to go ahead and knock them down a lot of times, so that this life cycle node is not something of an issue. The rage node is not an issue either because there are not many champions who will be able to do more than 2.5% of the health as damage on this fight. So I've seen people just build up Aegon on this path, but honestly any champ can do this path as well. You need someone who can go ahead and counter Killmonger. Uh, Someone who's bleed immune. Now, if not bleed immune, then someone who can just probably just intercept well. Why not bleed immune is because of this sharpened clause here, which says that if you do a parry, you get 5 stacks of bleed, and that's 10% of the attack over 3 seconds. That's 50% of bleed damage of an attack rating approximately 18,000, I believe. And Wakandan leadership is another node that's active, which is basically the synergy with Black Panther. What I did was a cheese on this path with a Doom. I took a Doom, my 5-star Doom is SIG 200. I added an Alice on the path, and I used a boost. Because of that boost and the synergy, every time I went ahead and did a heavy after the first heavy, I was able to go out and do more than 2.5% of the damage on the path. And once I did that, I also had Mystic Dispersion active. I'll gain power, and I will continue to do a heavy a chain on each one of these gems. And if for some reason the shock did not come back because of nullifying the fury due to the rage, I would go and hit an SP3. That worked on every champion on the spots, including this uh, including this champ here. I did take Stealth Spidey as well to make sure that this Unstoppable of Juggernaut is removed, but didn't actually need it. Uh, the final thing that comes up is this Killmonger, and you can actually take a Warlock for this Killmonger. You can just do a parry and heavy a few times, and once you reach an SP2, uh, you are going to be able to do an armor break as well. You can go ahead and take Hyperion as well here. Just wait for an SP3 maybe so that you can gain those 3 cosmic charges and then hit an SP2. Till that time, do not parry him, just evade him, and maybe if you can go ahead and do maybe a couple of intercepts. Once you hit an SP2 from Hyperion, it will work. But because I did take an Alice has this base ability of doing armor breaks, but occasionally, you would get parried and you would get these sharpened claws. So that was an issue. That's why Warlock worked better. And if you have Mr. Fantastic, then Doom would also work here because on a heavy, Doom would also go ahead and put an armor break, which will work with this Killmonger. So if you don't have, uh, or, Mr. Fantastic or something, just take a Hyperion or a Warlock, or anyone who can do an armor break. Maybe Medusa also can help here too, as long as you ensure that you evade um, all his attacks. Just do an intercept. Do not parry bait specials. Harder than it sounds, I'm sure, but not at all difficult. The next part I did was this one right here. Polka dot is something you only gain power when uh, you know put debuffs on the opponent, and there's rage here as well. Um, but here's the thing: there are champs you can use who do not need to gain power for damage. Aegon being one of them. But Doom worked one of the best champs in this path. I can't use Doom on this particular champ here, Havoc, or possibly on Mephisto. So what I did was together with Doom, I also took a Human Torch, and I used Human Torch on Mr. Fantastic. I'm sorry, Mr. Sinister, and I took Void for. Uh, no, I used Human Torch in this Mephisto, and I used Warlock. Uh, Warlock for this Havoc. There is nothing else here that you need actually on this path. This was my second to last path, um, and this was great. There's of course no problem on this path either. There's not a lot of buffs going on here either. But you can also use Void on the paths because Void can actually go ahead and reverse the healing for him as well as him uh, and Mephisto here. Um, this Aegon would work possibly as well. You can use a nullifying champ for Venom, and that's about it. I mean, this is not a hard part either. Uh, and if I'm not missing anything, the final part I did was this Bane part here. Now, this is one of the more difficult parts because of Bane and Dismay. It does have Aggression Fury too. So I tried a lot of champs here. I tried Doom and it worked great. By this time, we already had the Hulkbuster Boss, and Hulkbuster worked great as well. I did a few tries with Hulkbuster as well. I did a few tries with Symbiote Supreme as well because this Red Skull had a lot of armor and there was no way to get around it because the Bane would actually trigger. Uh, then I realized that Aggression Fury is on this path, and I remember doing Aggression Furies in one of the variants with Electro. I did this path right after July 4th, and at that time I got a 6-star Electro. And that's how you can cheese this path. Let's take a 6-star or a 5-star Electro and take a Heimdall. You just have to evade these champs until you have approximately 12 to 13 Furies, and that's it. Uh, just go ahead and evade. These champions will go back. Uh, do hit into their block if you want to. Don't hit into their block if you don't want to. They are eventually going to go ahead and get those 12 to 15 Furies, and once they have 15 Furies or so, just let them hit you. Heimdall will save you, and they're going to go ahead and kill themselves with taking up to 2 to 3 million damage per hit. I cheesed this whole path with Electro. Though I was still, using revives, I had to do like 4 or 5 revives because I messed up on this thing node. I did mess up on this wasp. I messed up on Modok as well. But that's how you can cheese it. If you can't cheese it, then honestly, this is one of the most difficult parts. Not only because of the fact that it has Bane and Dismay, also because this particular node technique makes the Grandmaster fight extremely tough because you can't get more than 10, sorry, 8 token of competence. So that's why this pass is hard, and the Grandmaster fight after this pass is also difficult. Okay, now let's just spend some time on Grandmaster. Grandmaster Boss fight is one of the best fights of this whole chapter. It still takes time, it still gets annoying, but it is extremely fun. First time, I think I took around 35 minutes on this fight. I took like 18 or 19 revives. Second and third times were also not really good, 12 or 13 revives. The last three parts I did together, and the second to last parts, before this part, I actually almost one-shot the collector. So I would suggest, if possible, try to do this whole chapter together because the more you practice, the more you're going to be able to get used to Grandmaster. Second suggestion is rank up that Mr. Sinister. Do not get him to R4 if you have a 5-star one, get him to R3 if you have a 6-star, do not get him to R2. Mr. Sinister is one of the best counters to this, and I don't even didn't even use Mr. Sinister for the until the 30% phase. It's because they have of that reverse controls, that used to cause issues to me, due to which I had to use him. Mr. Sinister is not only immune to reverse controls, he's also immune to unblockable specials. So Grandmaster SQ1 is easier to evade, like the Adaptoid special in the last chapter, but occasionally it can get you. You may be busy on thinking that the timer is expiring, and you want to go ahead and get that competence, or you'll get not get it. So you may lose your guard, and you get hit with that unblockable. You may not be able to evade it, but Mr. Sinister is able to block it. He's also immune to reverse controls. And the way the reverse controls are set up on this particular fight is in the third phase, is that 42.5 seconds later you will get the reverse control, and that is exactly the amount of time it takes for you to get those 5 tokens of competence. So right before you get that fifth token, you get reverse control, and you just don't know where to dodge. A lot of people are used to it; they have that muscle memory. I did not, and it was really difficult for me. I believe with the Magneto buff, Magneto will be better than Mr. Sinister because Magneto is also immune to reverse controls, but is not immune to unblockables. I believe that would be a better counter, but the last three attempts fights I did take Mr. Sinister with me, and he helped a lot on that phase below 30%. The ability to not care about the reverse control actually helped a lot, and by that time I had a lot of practice on this fight as well. So what I did initially was I just went ahead and saw a lot of videos on YouTube. Put my thumb on my screen and just moved it in air. Getting used to the controls, and that's it. But any fight at all can do if you are able to get Doctor Doom and Annihilus or Diablos energy. That will be awesome. Uh, of course, Aegon is awesome. Uh, Jane Foster, I've heard, is awesome. But honestly, any champ at all can do this path the first 70% properly. The last 30%, as long as you can go ahead and handle that reverse control, again, any champ at all can do it. Mr. Sinister is my suggestion, and that's about it. This is one of the best chapters, and do like the video, do share it with anyone who's actually looking forward to do Act 6.4, and thanks again. Please subscribe. Have an excellent day. Goodbye.